Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome to the September 14th version of our DeSoto ISD School Board meeting, Board of Trustees. Time is now 6:31. We will call this meeting to order. Item 1A calls for a welcome. I've just extended the welcome this evening. Item 1B calls for an invocation for Pastor Michael Mitchell. Excuse me, that's the minutes from the previous meeting. Let me flip over. The invocation tonight comes from the great pastor Christopher Willis Sr., God's Exciting Cathedral of Praise Baptist Church right here in DeSoto, Texas. Following that, we'll have our pledge students of the month from West Middle School, followed by our district mission statement read by Trustee Stripling. Let's stand for a word of prayer.
God, we come thanking you first of all for this day that was not promised. We thank you, God, for the opportunity to pray. God, we pray your blessings upon the safety of our kids first. And then, God, we petition you for our board, our superintendent, for our teaching staff, and for all those who work in our schools. We pray, God, that our decision-making reflect a DOL, a demonstration of our personal learning. In your Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Cameron Moore attends DeSoto West Middle School as a 7th grader. Cameron is identical twin to brother Miles Moore. She is an honor roll student and participates in theater arts. Cameron is a proud member of the Victorious Girls Leadership Program at DeSoto West. She plans on applying to the DeSoto Early College High School program and later pursue a career as a kindergarten teacher. Miles Moore attends DeSoto West Middle School as a 7th grader. Miles is identical twin to sister Cameron Moore. He is an honor roll student and plans to try out for the basketball team. He loves math, science, and history. In the future, he plans on applying to the DeSoto Early College High School. His goal is to make a living as a game designer. Tristan Moore attends DeSoto West Middle School as an 8th grader. Tristan is big brother to Cameron and Miles. He is an honor roll honor roll student and is on the football team. He participates in the Male Leadership Magnet Academy at West Middle School. His goal is to attend the DeSoto High School Collegiate Program and later pursue a career as a heart surgeon.
I'm sure.
DeSoto ISD will prepare each student academically and socially to be a problem solver and productive citizen for a 21st century global society.
Thank you, Trustee Stripling, for reading our mission statement. Thank you, Trustee Daniel, for introducing our pledge students. And obviously, thank you to our pledge students for taking the time to be here, and Pastor Willis for leading us in prayer. This brings us to item 1E, which is the emergency statement. I will read that to your hearing now. DeSoto ISD takes the safety of our students, employees, and guests very seriously, including those with us tonight. In emergency situations such as a fire, please exit the building using one of the marked exits unless directed otherwise. Should we experience inclement weather such as a tornado, we will ask that all guests move quickly into the interior of the building, away from all doors and windows. Our emergency operations administrator will monitor the situation at all times and advise of any potential situations. She'll also coordinate with the local emergency responders regarding when the situation has passed. Item 1F calls for us to establish a quorum. We do have a quorum with 6 board members present. And that brings us to item 1G, highlighted schools, which is West Middle School.
Good evening, DeSoto. This is Special Investigator Lauren Deller here for WEST News, investigating and reporting live to you on all the great things going on in our magnet academies, ISTEAM, and young male leadership.
Good morning. Welcome to our ISTEAM facility. Today, you guys will be seeing us work on our first PBL for the first 9 weeks of school. This PBL is titled, What the Church is Going On. This PBL is based on all the egrets that you guys will find laying around the DeSoto area.
Here in DeSoto, there have been many egrets lying around, and for each subject in ISTEAM, we are to make an ideal habitat for science and number line for math. And for history, we are to make a PSA, which is a public service announcement about the egrets, and also to make a map of the major places in DeSoto and all the landmarks. In English, we are to make a Diamante poem about the egrets as well.
We're coming to you live from outside of Mr. Whitfield's male leadership classroom. Let's see what the kids have to say.
We at the West International Male Leadership Magnet Academy will strive for excellence in our quest to be the best. We accept that mediocrity is not acceptable. Failure is not an option. High expectations are the norm. This is my school and these are my brothers. We have served our community so that we are qualified to lead. We are committed to being our brothers' keepers. We are willing to work hard and pay the price for success. We also accept that we will give nothing less than our God-given best.
What is a leader?
A leader is a person that serves their community
What does that look like?
by striving for excellence in their quest to be the best and also accepting that failure and mediocrity is not acceptable.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. But don't just take their word for it. Please come down and see all of the great things happening here at West Middle School. For WEST, this is Lauren Deller signing off.
Thank you very much, West Middle School. Definitely, Board, I had the privilege of being on their campus this week to see ISTEAM working on that project, and I understand they've had city officials, administration as well, come in from the city to actually put that together. So job well done at actually having practical learning going on in the classroom, and that's a tribute to the team that you guys have. They're very diverse in their gifts and talents, so great job. At this time, we want to recognize any West faculty, staff, teachers, if you're in the audience, if you don't mind standing.
Parents a little extra that just spoke on, so I'm giving this cup. They got 3 kids. When they have that many kids, I always give them up.
All right, item 1H calls for celebrations. Board, just a heads up. Item 1I and J, we will switch and flip that around. So right after our celebrations, we will have the proclamation of Hispanic Heritage Month. Trustee Daniel.
Okay, excuse me. Under celebrations, Grover named Vice President. Dr. Tawana Grover, DeSoto ISD Chief of Human Resources, was recently voted Vice President for the North Central Texas Association of School Personnel Administrators. The organization consists of human resource professionals in North Central Texas public schools, charter schools, universities, and other organizations associated with education. NCTA-SPA assists in providing the tools, strategies, and approaches necessary to support functions of human resource departments with relevant and timely information. Congratulations, Dr. Grover.
I have one quick recognition. You know, when I go around to my morning coffee meetings and I always give out a mug to those parents that have, 2 or more kids. So, Mr. could y'all come up for the second, please? Y'all give them a little extra to the soul out there. Thank you for your support. So I think I'll turn around and I'll give you this. We appreciate Thank you very much. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, man. All right.
Okay, National Hispanic Heritage Month 2015 proclamation. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month, whose roots go back to 1968, Hispanics represent a vibrant and thriving part of our diverse nation. We recognize the contributions made and the important presence of Hispanic and Latino Americans to the United States and celebrate their heritage and culture. Whereas Hispanics have had a profound and positive influence on our country through their strong commitment to family, faith, hard work, and service. They have enhanced and shaped our national character with centuries-old tradition that reflects the multi-ethnic and multicultural customs of their community. Therefore, we honor the rich heritage of the Hispanic community and celebrate its countless achievements. And therefore, we, the Board of Trustees of DeSoto ISD, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2015, as National Hispanic Heritage Month in DeSoto ISD. We call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all Americans to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hand this 28th day of September, the year of our Lord 2015, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 239.
Thank you, Trustee Daniel. Item 1J calls for citizens' participation. We do have one person wishing to speak, and so I will read into your hearing now the rules regarding citizens' participation. We've designated a portion of our meeting to hear from members of our community. This is not the forum for complaints. We have procedures for hearing complaints, and those must be exhausted before matters brought to the board. This is a posted public meeting of the board, not a meeting of the public. In accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, all meetings are open to the public and media. The board may hear some matters in executive session. However, any discussion or decision must be performed in an open meeting. In addition, we are not permitted to discuss items not on the agenda. Non-posted items may be considered for a future meeting. No presentation shall exceed 5 minutes, and delegations of 5 or more persons shall appoint one person to present their view. You're respectfully reminded to address the board and not the audience during your presentation. One card tonight comes from Michelle Jung. If you would, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle. Actually, my Chinese name is Xue Zhang, but you can call me Michelle. And I live in Dallas Baptist University. So now I'm teaching Mandarin in Crocker Hill Elementary School. So for these 2 weeks, I taught my kids how to say hello, goodbye, how are you, and introduce their names in Chinese. And I'm so proud of them because they are quick learners. They pick up the language so fast. And they not only learn Chinese from me, they also just like teach their friends how to speak Chinese, because sometimes the students will just like come to me and say hello to me in Chinese, just like I was so surprised because they are not my students. But how can they know how to speak Chinese? And they told me that just like my students teach them how to speak Chinese. So I'm so proud of them. And I mean, I am a second language learner. I have studied English for around 10 years. But I didn't know how to use English in China because I didn't have any opportunities to speak English in China. And what I have learned in China were just like grammatical rules. So just like I don't like that because I only know the rules, but I don't know how to use English. So now I hope I can teach my students more practical Chinese, so they can speak Chinese at home, at school, and with their friends. And just like Chinese people, we're all around the world. So I hope when they go out of America, when they go to other countries, even in China, they can make more friends, Chinese friends. And if they continue to learn more Chinese, they can just like do business in China, and they can also just like get more job opportunities in China or around the world. So just like before I close my speech, I want to just like say some Chinese so you can know something about Chinese, sorry. So the first one is just like, 我很荣幸能站在这里. It's my pleasure it's my honor to stay here and meet all of you tonight. And I'm really happy, 我很高兴能就是在 Crocker Hill Elementary School 当老师. I'm so happy that I am a just like teacher in Crocker Hill Elementary School and teach Chinese there. 我很喜欢我的学生，我也很喜欢当老师。I really like my students, and I really like to be a teacher. And 我很爱美国，这是一个很特别的国家。I really like America because America is a really special country for me. 我很喜欢 DeSoto， 我更喜欢 Crocker Hill Elementary School. I like DeSoto, but I also like Crocker Hill Elementary School. 谢谢大家 ，Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board, that brings us to item 2, which is our consent items. Tonight we have one item under consent, which is the meeting minutes from the previous meetings. So what's the pleasure of the board regarding our consent items tonight?
Move to approve as presented.
Second, Mr. President.
We have a motion by Trustee Stripling, second by Trustee Hooper. Call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And motion carries 6-0. It brings us to item 3, which is our report items. We'll take items 3A through C together. August tax collections, August financials, purchasing management fees report. Dr. Harris.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. These are all standard reports. I will make note of the purchasing management fee report is something that you may only see once a year. We're required once a year to report to you corporates that we deal with and the fees that are associated with those cooperatives, the fees that come along with those cooperatives. So that's just a standard report that we do each year that we're obligated by law to present to the board.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Board, this is a report item. Standard items on under reporting, which we've had since last week. And so, are there any questions for administration at this time? All right. If not, that brings us to item 3D, which is employments resignation, administrative professional employees. Dr. Harris.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, I'm going to pass this on to Dr. Grover. Once again, it is a standard report, but if there's any questions or if Dr. Grover would like to add anything to the report, she may do so at this time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harris, and Board President and trustees. As Dr. Harris has stated, this is a standard report. We do have the employments that are listed here and just one resignation that was approved due to a personal matter. We are already in the process of replacing that teacher that resigned, as well as we've had several new hires this week. So you'll be able to see some new hires coming on board for the next report, and as well as updated on the vacancy. We are happy to report that we do have an English teacher that's signing with us this week as well. I knew that would be one item of interest for you guys. So we're continuing to hire in those positions, as well as we have some plans underway for some of the other vacancies as well. I'll be happy to entertain any questions, or feel free to contact me at any other time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grover. Trustee Strickland.
Thank you, Dr. Grover, for the report. But since you brought up about the English teacher, can you tell us where she's coming from and her background as far as experience and things of that nature?
I don't want to misquote on record, but I'll send you a little snippet probably on break, okay? So I can give you that information. We're just excited to have her. It's just fresh off the press as I was walking into the board meeting tonight. So, but she is scheduled to come in and sign with us.
Okay. It'd be good to get that information. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Hooper.
Thank you. To the superintendent and Dr. Grover, as well as Dr. Lamonye, I just want to congratulate you guys on finally filling the Mandarin Chinese vacancy. It's been a long, hard road, but thank you for understanding that was a priority issue for the board in trying to make sure that we expose our students to additional language that will make them more competitive globally. And so thank you for following through with that. We were talking when we first met her, and I said, I thought we were supposed to get two. And then somebody told me, don't be too greedy. But I definitely want to thank you for continuing to search out quality quality teachers that will help expose our students to additional languages. I know former trustee Kirk Crum would be extremely proud that, finally our students are going to be exposed to international languages, especially one such as Mandarin Chinese. So thank you. Hats off to the entire HR team, to the elementary division, Ms. Grover, Ms. Garner, thank you. And then, of course, to you, Mr. Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Trustee Hooper. There's no further comments or discussion, board. That brings us to item 4. We have an item under that, discussion of hiring of district personnel in particular. Dr. Harris.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, this was put on the agenda at the request of Trustee Daniels, and so our policy is to hire in the district only personnel as it becomes available. As you know, last board meeting, you guys approved that if we went over a certain amount of teachers, that we would hire students. I'm sorry, a certain amount of students that we would hire to accommodate the overflow of students that we might have. And that's kind of where we are now. We do have a hiring formula that says that X amount of students on the campus gets a principal and assistant principal. When you reach, I think it is, is it 900, Dr. Grover? I think 700 gets, I'm sorry, 900 gets a principal and 2 assistant principals. So we do have a hiring formula for doing that, but I would address any questions that the board may have concerning hiring of district personnel.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. As has already been stated, this was something that Trustee Daniel wanted on the agenda, so we'll lead with Trustee Daniel if you have any questions or comments.
I'm just hoping that we are going to hire the teachers first before we hire the principals. I know that we've asked for a waiver for some of our elementary classes, and I'd much rather see teachers in those classrooms than principals. That's my comment.
Thank you, Trustee Daniel. Trustee Moncrief.
As it stands right now, Dr. Harris, do you have any idea of if you're at the threshold level where you need to be hiring more people?
Not administrators at this time.
Not administrators, I'm talking about
like
teachers.
teachers? They're interviewing this week. So yes, we are at that, at that threshold.
All right.
I think that's just elementary, not secondary.
I think that if we've had this on the agenda for 2 weeks, you guys should have been prepared.
Oh, we just didn't quite understand the question, but to answer in regards to the additional hires as related to the number of students, of course, we're gauging that with enrollment, and right now we have hired 4 additional teachers based on student enrollment. We do have one other position that's vacant due to student enrollment at Northside Elementary. It's just not filled yet. As Dr. Lamonier indicated, she is interviewing this week. As far as the middle school and the high school, we've not had to request any additional teachers on those lines. We're just continuing to fill the current vacancies that you see posted. So elementary has been the focus for additional teachers based on student enrollment. As far as administrators go, we are within our staffing formulas. I do have that information available. Dr. Harris did mention about the 900 students, but as far as administrators, we don't have any current openings that we are aware of. And right now we are in line with our staffing ratios for administrators at all of our campuses.
Well, I thank you, Dr. Grover. I know that in regards to some of the vacancies, specifically some of the ones at the high school, specifically that English vacancy, I know that not just DeSoto, but a number of districts are experiencing that, not just math and science anymore are becoming hard to fill jobs, but legitimate, and I'm using that word intentionally, legitimate English teachers. A lot of districts were finding it hard to find legitimate English teachers. As you see, not just us, but other districts were having trouble with, I guess the last state assessment revealed, the last 2 cycles of state assessment revealed that, it needed to be an intentional focus area. And so I know that, in terms of the conversation that many of us have had, even with the high school principal, don't hire a person that you don't think is equipped to do the job that we want done. And I think Dr. Lamb took that to heart. Because, as you've said before, we don't want English teachers who are that have degrees in fashion design, who are not true, experts in the art of teaching English. And so, I know that we've had some issues with that, and we've even had conversations about in the future potentially even looking at stipend areas, increasing our stipend areas. But I do know that there was some overage at the elementary level that required us to, make some additional hires. But as far as what I've heard, I hadn't heard of any of those issues at the middle school or high school. So I do understand the staffing formula that you guys sent to us. So it makes sense to me. But, as far, I hate to say this because some people would disagree with me. I mean, but it's almost easier sometimes to find a principal or an administrator than it is to find a quality teacher in some regards. And so, you know, I want us to make sure that we're not just putting anybody before our students, because our students deserve the best. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't want them stuck with a sub or any of those types of things. So we need to look, and if that conversation means that we need to, you know, increase our offerings so that we can be competitive in the recruiting industry, then we need to do that because our students deserve only the best. And I agree with Ms. Daniel that, you know, we need to make sure that we are making hiring the best teachers priority. But again, I want to make sure that it's the best teacher. I don't want us to just fill somebody just because they have a degree and this, that, and the other, because we'll be right back at square one. So, but again, I'm only just one member of this board, but that's pretty much my sentiment in terms of where we are with our hiring philosophy.
Thank you, Trustee Hooper. Trustee Daniel.
Okay, just one question. How many vacancies, how many teacher vacancies do we have right now, not counting the English teacher who's coming?
Okay, give me 1 second. I have it right here. I'm counting it for you real fast, okay? We have, I'm just going to say approximately 18 teachers, because I'm counting here on my list, and that includes everything. But the majority of those here again will include those areas such as bilingual first grade. You have the Spanish opening, you have art, you have music, you have strings, you have speech. You have all of those openings. It looks like just a handful. Elementary first grade at the Meadows. At Northside, we just added a fourth grade at Moats today, and third grade at Woodridge in terms of those main teacher areas. And we have math and science at Athletes for Change that's included in that number, and math at East Middle School. So overall, just it's very spotty. 1 or 2 positions here or there at each of the campuses.
I would like to see us get that first grade teacher before we get anybody else. That is the most important, for them to have a good foundation from the very beginning. But I would like to see us get all of those teachers before we hire any more administrators or special people to do special jobs. We need the teachers first. And as Mr. Hooper said, we need the best teachers we can find, the most qualified.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Just to make sure that that number is consistent with the website. The website still has teachers posted up until the point that they sign the contract.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
it's not necessarily consistent with things that have, you know, been ready to send to your office, because we still might be awaiting them to just sign the final contract.
Absolutely. I don't take them down until then.
Okay.
And all the teachers, the hiring of all the teachers is important, but as a parent who just experienced third grade, we can't have those third grade children without a teacher for too long, because we're expecting way too much out of them in terms of being prepared for that STAR test. So again, all the teachers are important, but that first and third grade component is critical. Thanks.
So I think the...
Give me 1 second, Trustee Hooper. Did you have something to say to that, Dr. Grover?
Yes, sir. And I just want to point out, absolutely, we definitely agree with you all. We're constantly working together as a team to get that done. And just want to keep in mind that The majority of those positions, except for one of those, are the new positions that were just added due to the overage. So, for example, one went on September the 14th. That's that position at Woodridge. And then I just talked about one of the elementaries actually just went on today. And as far as that first grade, although we put the position out there, we have to wait until we actually move the students and we get those situated. So there's some behind the scenes type of things that are going on with that. But certainly we want to get all of our teachers hired, and we do feel that urgency for our elementary positions. Thank you
Dr.
for your
Grover.
feedback.
Mr. President.
Mr. Hooper and then Trustee Strickland.
Mr. President, I'm looking at the current posted positions, and in terms of administrator, quote unquote, jobs, I think the only one that is posted is attached to Gear Up, which is grant funded, correct? And so I'm sure that there are some requirements per grant in terms of making sure that position is filled, but I don't see anything else in terms of like a true assistant principal or principal or instructional coordinator position that is posted. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's absolutely correct. And the Gear Up position just went up last week, I think last Thursday.
The promotion.
And other than that, we don't have any assistant principal vacancies that I'm aware of, no instructional coordinators, no principals to focus on at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Grover. Trustee Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. President. To my board, I agree with everything you're saying, but I would just want to make sure that we are very aware that as the leadership of this district, we have to understand what we're saying, because what we're saying is fill the classrooms, but then we back that up with, but bring us the best. And so you got to understand when you say that to our administrative team, we're saying, don't just put anybody in the classroom. But then when they come back here and they report that these vacancies still exist, we can't be then saying, what are you doing? What are you not doing? Why aren't you hiring? Because at the end of the day, what you've said is bring us the best. So we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? Because I'm going to tell you what I hear. I hear double talk. I hear double talk. So either we say, bring us qualified teachers who can get the job done, and where they fail, we can help them. We can train them up. Or bring us the best, nothing less, and we don't say anything about the vacancies that exist until they bring us just that. So we have to be very careful, and that's all I mean, again, I agree with everything you're saying, but I think it's important that we understand what we are saying. And so, Dr. Grover, I would just say to you, bring us the best. But I don't think anybody on this board wants to go an entire year with a sub in the classroom. And to my board, that means that the best may not be to what you consider the best to be. But I'm sure we have enough educated, qualified folks around here who can help educate and train up a teacher to deliver what we want. And if not, there is another school year that we will find someone who can. So I just want to make, because this is what I'm hearing, so I just want to make sure we understand what we're saying. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Strickland. Mr. Hall, Trustee Hall.
Yes, Dr. Grover, could you tell us kind of what the efforts are what sources you're using for locating these teachers other than the website?
Yes, sir. I think that we use every avenue that's open to us. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to thank Ms. Garner for her partnership with DBU. I'm using that as one example of what we use to go out and recruit. That means that we're all very intentional. We all get the report as a leadership team. And so we're constantly working and having conversations with our universities to recruit people. Of course, we use the Region 10 website. That's teacherjobs.com. Co-op Network, if you've ever seen that source out there as well. And of course, we used Facebook, but not only our district Facebook, but we have other individuals who have memberships. For example, Mr. Edwards with the Fine Arts. So he's connected to the Fine Arts organization, as well as the social media outlets that they have that's connected to that. And of course, our recruitment office, we are oftentimes screening candidates. We get referrals. We ask our current teachers. So we use every avenue that's possible. I think what we have before us, which we are very conscious of the fact that we want to be sure that we're hiring quality candidates. So that means that, as a matter of fact, for example, we brought in, I think Dr. Lamonier, they interviewed several people for the librarian. We weren't pleased with any of those, so we're back to the drawing board. So we're after that quality. We're being very diligent about it, but with the expectation, respecting the fact that we want someone that can come in and meet the expectations of the board as well as DeSoto ISD as a whole.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. One second.
I'm sorry.
One second. Dr. Lamonier.
President Sherman and Board, I'm looking at the 14 positions at the elementary school, and I just want to be clear in the fact that the only position that has been on this list that is a self-contained classroom position for more than a week is the bilingual position at Cockrell Hill. The rest of these positions that are self-contained, so not strings and not Mandarin and Spanish, but the fourth grade positions, the third grade positions, the first grade positions have all come on this list within the last week. On two occasions, what we've had is that a teacher, for example, the Moats position is open because a teacher from Moats actually was sent over to Woodridge, and so now that's a position at Moats. The first grade at the Meadows, that the principal there felt it was very important that we get the special ed position filled because we didn't have a special ed teacher in two places, and so she had a first grade teacher with the special ed background who requested to be the special ed teacher. So I just want to, I know that we've had some concerns about going for extended periods of time, but I just want to reassure you all that these positions have not been, as Dr. Grover already said to you all, they have not been out there for more than a week, with the exception of the bilingual first grade position over there where Ms. McGowan has been diligently working to try to secure a Spanish teacher.
Thank you, Dr. Lamonier. Trustee Strickland.
And this is just my last comment. Dr. Grover, Dr. Rucker, Dr. Harris, don't be afraid to come to this board and say, if we want English teachers, if we need math teachers, we just might have to pay them a little more. I mean, at the end of the day, we know that this is not just a statewide issue. This is an issue across the United States, which means, just like any other industry, when people in their field are scarce, they become very sought after. That means you have to compete for those people. So if we want the best, and we want them, we're going to have to compete for them. So at the end of the day, if you got to come to this board and say, if we want them, we got to compete, then there's something this board is going to have to take a hard look at. Because either we're gonna have to be, at some point, we're going to have to be held accountable to what we're telling you we want. And that means we got to make a decision. And that decision may mean we have to loosen the purse just a little bit. So don't be afraid to come to this board and say that. Okay, I'm just telling you, loosen your tongue if that's what you need to say. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Strickland. Board, and Trustee Hooper said, Trustee Strickland, you said it just there. Board, this is a discussion item. It's obviously one that we've spent quite a bit of time discussing tonight and in the past. And I think about the prayer that we heard this evening and participated in from Pastor Willis, and he prayed that we make decisions based on our learning and what we've learned. And what we've learned as a board over the past 3 years is that our compensation was not where it needed to be. And so we made the guided steps to bring that up to where it should be to be competitive. What we also told administration was that you need to make sure you have qualified teachers. And they brought back Teacher Match. And so based on that criteria, we're making sure we get qualified teachers in the classroom. And lastly, I'll say this, Board, we get a report every week of the jobs that are posted, the jobs that are open. And so if we're studying that, we realize that these jobs are not brand new. These jobs were just recently listed. And as we guide this district of 9,700 students, those students span various grades. And so as administration posts the job, I assure you there's no priority when they post the job of who applies to the job. And I can guarantee you they're going to hire people as soon as they have a qualified person in that position. So let's not, as a board, get caught up on which grade we're hiring for, what position we're hiring for, because what we've learned is that there's a shortage of teachers, and what we've learned is that we had to be competitive. That's why we increased the insurance. And what we've learned is that we want qualified teachers in those classrooms. And so we're doing what we said we would do. And so I don't want us to lose sight of that. I know we can look at it sometimes and get nervous, and we all share the same sentiment that we don't want substitutes in the classroom for an extended period of time. However, I assure you that they're making the correct steps to remedy this. And Dr. Grover, thank you for having the specific answers to the question that was asked. I greatly appreciate that, your diligence and attention to detail. And so, Board, if there's no further comments or discussion, we'll close this here. And when we get the board update on Friday, Ms. Trimble will have all the positions listed for our review. And the next Friday, she'll have all the positions listed for our review. And we'll all have historical data to go back and look at the positions that were posted the weeks before to see what progress we're making. Thank you, Board. Board, we're doing something a little different. Item 5 calls for comments because our executive session does have the potential to be quite lengthy. We do want to have the benefit of those citizens that are here with us tonight and those that are watching online to hear the board comments at this time. Last week I began on my right, so this week I will begin on my left. Trustee Moncrief.
Just want to thank everyone who was involved in making our homecoming week a success. It was an enjoyable event. I enjoyed myself tremendously riding on that float. Thanks again to everyone who participated in coming up with that float. It was very nice for the administration. And again, kudos to our winners of the homecoming parade. That Northside float was really something to see. And again, just want to thank everybody for their participation in that.
Thank you, Trustee Moncrief. Trustee Strickland.
I guess second to that about the homecoming parade, had a great time as usual. The kids enjoyed themselves, and I can't remember, it's been so long, but college night again was a great night. It just seems like we just continue to grow and grow and grow, and I want to give kudos and thanks to everybody that was involved with that. So I just look forward to us continuing to grow with that. And here's the deal with that. Don't be afraid to call out them universities that don't show up. I'll call them to the carpet. At the end of the day, we sending great students out, and so call them to the carpet, because there's a lot of schools that we got a lot of students that don't show up here. So call them to the carpet. It's okay. You got my back. I got your back.
Thank you, Trustee Strickland. Trustee Daniel.
Okay, my comment is about homecoming also. I went to the game, enjoyed it very much, loved the score in the football game. I saw a lot of my former students from the class of 1995. It was good seeing them. Some of them looked just the same. Some of them looked very different. They all had great success stories, and I really had a good time seeing that and hearing their comments at the game.
Thank you, Trustee Daniel. Trustee Hall. Thank you, Trustee Hall. Trustee Hooper.
Thank you. I, too, want to congratulate the staff on an excellent college fair. Dr. Rucker, Dr. Lamb, Ms. Ford, Ms. Garner. Again, I got a chance to enjoy it from both a participant for the third year representing my alma mater and engaging with the students who asked very great questions and were subject to me grilling them about their plans for college. So that was always exciting. Also, the homecoming parade as well as the game. But this weekend, I did want to mention that we got to take a few young men on a field trip. Trustee Striplin and President Sherman, as well as former President Warren C. We got to take 15 young men to the SMU homecoming tailgate, and we got to let them experience college. And so we went through, I think, just about every building. And so they asked lots and lots and lots of questions. And then we got to really engage with them about what their long-term plans were, and you know, got to really make some connections with them about planning for the future. And so that was probably one of the most meaningful things that I did this weekend. And so even though they made me be the one on bus duty, but it was really great to be able to engage with them and to share that experience with them. And so we're doing some really great things here in DeSoto and trying to make some intentional change in the lives of these young people. So.
Thank you, Trustee Hooper, and thank you for bus duty. I really appreciate it.
Me too.
Dr. Harris, any comments?
Just very quickly, we do want to acknowledge the passing of one of our former students, Chandler Allen, and certainly our prayers go out to that family. As you know, DeSoto is a family community, and certainly when one hurts, we all hurt, and so certainly our prayers. But they also have hats off to Tyler Junior College will be having a memorial service in the memory of Chandler Allen on tomorrow, and so at 12 noon. So in your 12 noon prayer time, certainly remember that family. Also, I'd like to say hats off to Dr. Lemonnier and her team. They've been working very hard on securing our E-rate funding, and we just got noticed last night that we were able to secure that funding. That's a little bit over $560,000, which that's a good chunk of change there. Not only that, but also to Dr. Rucker and her team. They'll be headed off tonight down to Austin. As you know, we were chosen out of, I think, 80 out of 1,100 school districts to participate in the blended learning opportunity. That's another $500,000 scholarship grant opportunity. So they're going to take their best game down there and do a great job of trying to secure that funding as well. So there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes, and I just want to thank the whole team for all the work that they do. And we probably don't say it enough, but there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So, and once again, congratulations, Dr. Grove, for also getting active in the community, because we do ask our employees to get active in organization, district level, state, and national level also. So hats off to them. Just a lot of work behind the scenes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, and congratulations, and thank you for everything that you guys do, administration. One day you guys will write down how much money you've brought this district and have the tale of the tape, because it seems every year we get a grant after another grant after another grant. And then we find funding from things that have been done in the past incorrectly, and you guys come in and fix it. And so we definitely appreciate you for that.
When we get that next board meeting, that's a great idea.
You heard the recommendation from Trustee Striplin.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Someone said 22 million, rough number, so let's see if that's the actual case. Item 6 calls for executive session. Board, we do have need for executive session under items 1A, B, and C. Excuse me, 6A, 6B, and 6C. Moving to executive session under 551.074 personnel to discuss and consider superintendent's contract. Item 6B, moving to executive session under 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal and procedural issues pertaining to possible clarification of prior board action regarding salary structure for coaches. And item 6C, we're moving into executive session under 551.074 personnel and 551.0821 student information for an update regarding investigation related to parent grievance. Board, if there's no objection, the time is now 7:26, and we will move into executive session. All right, the time is now 10:50, and we're returning from executive session. We've been in executive session under 551.074 personnel to discuss and consider superintendent's contract. We've also been under executive session 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal and procedural issues pertaining to possible clarification of prior board action regarding salary structure for coaches, and also under executive session 551.074 personnel and 551.0821 student information for an update regarding investigation related to parent grievance. Board, now that we are in open session at this time, I will entertain a motion if there be any.
Mr. President, I move to amend the superintendent's contract to include a salary increase to a base of $225,000. In addition, the incentive performance plan that was agreed upon and discussed in executive session to include matrices in accountability, college and career readiness, national distinctions, and enrollment.
Second.
Board, we have a motion by Trustee Hooper, a second by Trustee Stripling. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That motion carries 5-2. Board, is there another recommendation for consideration? Hearing and seeing none. Time is now 10:53, and we will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, Board.